The first thing I would like to say is to say thank you for inviting me, Valery, for raising this very important topic, because we should not forget about that. What should I say? It was a great disaster that happened back then. It's now called Chernobyl, NPP disaster or accident. In addition to social consequences, it had some medical after effects. First of all, I would like to say that this is to stay forever in the memory of mine and my colleagues and the medical personnel. The courage of those people, they wouldn't think about themselves. They were thinking about their families, their friends, their comrades, whether they were still around, still alive, uninjured, their health condition, their health status. What are the medical aspects of Chernobyl? No names mentioned of my patients, just one name, Lalichenko. You remember this name, the liquidators, non-liquidators. He was an engineer. He realized the scope of that disaster immediately and did everything to minimize the after effects. He had a very difficult death. He knew in advance that he was dying, had a little baby of his own who was just 1 month old, but he was thinking about his country and his people. Now, the medical aspects of Chernobyl, let me tell you this. My teacher, Professor Kinzinski, in those days was now chief radiologist of our country, and in the early days he was staying in Pripyat. He came over to see the disaster and look after the people, but that wasn't like in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Like they had the burns and the sound wave, but that was interpolated to isotopes, all the Mendeleev table, the radioactive aspects. In fact, it was unleashed as a genie, and the things we were breathing in, the things we were exposed to, the fruit and vegetable, the water, it was all contaminated. And of course, absorbing such a dose of radiation, radioactive dust, radioactive air, of course, or dust in the air. What we had were mutations of genes. First of all, with different conditions, it is different. I mean, oncological diseases, hematological diseases, the cancer of lungs, cancer of stomach, the isotopes for the mucus. People were exposed to different degrees, but we can say that the genes that mutated and are still mutating led to the situation when we had now, to a lesser extent, the tumors, malevolent tumors. And this is the WHO information. Many people passed away who did a heroic thing. The medical personnel was very dedicated and saved some liquidators. That was Leonid Kislevsky's achievement, because he proposed a different aspect of treatment. First of all, desactivation. All the liquidators were treated with the transfusion, blood transfusion to get rid of isotopes for the food trot, and our leaders saw what happened in Chernobyl. They had a total different rates of treatment. Detoxification prevailed, not like in some international hospitals. They had transportation of marrow and hypostatics in great dosage. That didn't provide for us a great survival rate. Of course, the Ukrainian medical doctors and nurses were very professional in their approach. Let me appreciate that I was just another doctor. I wasn't a decision maker, but I was really admiring the professionals, our leaders who approached treatment of liquidators and the victims from Pripyat in that way. We cannot change anything that happened in the past, but we have to remember those people and help them as much as we can. And we are trying. After all those decades, I'm still friends with them. My former patients, I admire them. I can see how still now they're helping other people. They're helping their friends who sick, get sick, and the statistics is very sad. The oncological diseases are widespread in this population, and this is because of the transmutations of genes as a result of exposure. And I can tell you this, that we should not forget about those events. These people need special treatment and convalescence. In Kiev, we have the National Center for Radioactive Medicine and radiological medicine, and helping liquidators and the victims as a result of that accident. And I would like to address people from Pripyat, the liquidators. Take care of yourselves. This is a very important thing for all of us. Get examined, get a medical check regularly, every year, at least. If you need some treatment, be very patient and don't forget about compliance. I have a question. I had this information that every year in Ukraine they have more than 30,000 surgeries for the related to Chernobyl catastrophe or disaster. This is according to WHO. There are two conditions. They are registered and they are related, they induced by radiation. That's the thyroid gland, in particular the cancer and the lymphatic leukemia, sarcoma, lymphoma, and all that group of diseases. This is absolutely official, well checked and substantiated. It does not come from Ukraine, any kind of national register. This is an international internationally recognized piece of evidence. Checked and double checked. This is really 30,000 surgeries on thyroid gland. I wasn't prepared for that question. I cannot tell you from the top of my head, but you know, some of you know me, many friends of mine, liquidators, died of some kind of cancer, not necessarily thyroid, it can be any other bodily organ. But that does not negate the fact that it is all a result of Chernobyl accident. But in Ukraine, do we have a high number of such surgeries, people with such conditions? I can tell you just this thing. If we compare the data coming from Ukraine and the European countries, other European countries, yes, you should understand that this is the incidence rate for Belarus also, who suffered as a big international disaster, now international, than the USSR. But Ukraine had the highest impact. We have more people who suffered, and I can tell you frankly that now, presently also, the trend is like this. Recently, I was leafing through the date. Kievans have a higher rate than people from other regions. I can tell you this about pathologies related to lymphatic tumors. Kievans have a double rate, I think. We know that it is 90 kilometers away from, only 90 kilometers away from the capital. And I cannot say that it is passed without any trace for us. We still, as Kievans, can feel the consequences. Thank you very much for your comments to this date related to health. Svitlana Sivkovych, oncologist and hematologist, medical doctor, who was discussing the consequences of that disaster and the impact on the health status, not just for Kievans, for IDPs, for victims and liquidators. We are concluding the last day of this forum. I would like to thank the Ukrainian Cultural Fund for helping us with this project. I would like to thank all the sponsoring organizations and partners. It's a great number, a great bunch. The Civil Society of Ukraine, Japan, and not just that. And we had a great number of lecturers and speakers from Europe. I'd like to thank all the partners of this project for the forum, for the exhibition. European countries, for the first time we had it this year. I hope for this to be continued in the upcoming years. After the forum, we'll have a big video to discuss the follow-ups and the best ideas. And one of the journalists said that we have some kind of synopsis for the areas that we discussed. Thanks to the viewership, thanks to the team of the implementers, the unbelievable 5-day event. It's unprecedented. We're happy that we've had it. It's a great platform for discussion. And I hope that next year we'll be able to extend, to expand, to invite more speakers and dive deeper into the subject matter. As far as I know, it was in the comments that they would like to bring some experts back. We will present some presentations and provide the link. Thanks to the venue, to NVIDIA Hub, the streaming team, the interpreters, simultaneous interpreters. Thank you very much and see you next year, hopefully. I'm Valery Korshunov, your moderator for today. We have concluded the 5th day of this forum dedicated to the integration of victims and liquidators and their resettlements. So join us on the social media. We will host all the information there and the videos. Thank you very much.